Right, welcome back, people, to NZ Mopro Outlaw Kustoms, to the 8th video on this dear old Swiss cheese darling. I've nicknamed it the Swiss cheese Dodge. It's slowly getting less Swiss cheese, but anyway, so in the end of the last video, I was standing here a couple of seconds ago doing it, but so late yesterday I finished hammer and dialing this, or finished welding this on and cutting this. The X is off. We've got all this shit where it had been welded underneath and just welded over top. So we've got these two pieces ready to go together. I want to do a little bit of hammering and dialing, and also a little bit of clean up in here. I should have tack welded it. I just want to hammer and dial it into a better so it lines up a little bit better, and then obviously we'll clean the rest of it up and then cut the ugly rust off. We'll make some patches and then cut the ugly shit off, and get it back on the car hopefully today. My plan is to get this shit battered. It just takes a bit of time to make the pieces, but I hope to have that wheel arch back on, except for that rear corner, unless the shrink stretchers turn up, because I need that. Well, I could do it other ways, but it's a damn sight easier with the shrink stretcher, because I can do it and just keep crimping and pulls things in to the shape I want. You know, just do little by little and keep testing. And I should be able to get those pieces sorted with a shrink stretcher pretty easy. So I can get this in, we'll jump to the other side and we'll get it braced up, and hopefully we'll see how we get on. Start working out to get those bits off and start making whatever we need to do to get that together, because I'm going to have to pull that whole piece of side apart in one hit and then build it from the inside out. That's going to be a big job, that other side, because it's basically it's a one-hit wonder, if you know what I mean. I can't do it in little pieces like I've done this side. I could have done this side like that too and made the whole thing in one hit, made that whole new piece, but yeah, this is kind of a different kettle of fish because it's so rotten. We're going to do the whole thing. But anyway, we'll get onto this, do a little bit of hammer and dialing, get this welded up, and then we'll start making these other patches and get it back in. Before I go any further, that is going to be the fucking smoothest grinder I remember using for a long time. It is just like butter, silky smooth. Doesn't vibrate in your hand or anything. Like the last couple I've had have been, now when you're grinding or something like that, they get, they like, you know, they start moving and shaking around. This doesn't. It's so smooth in here when it's spinning. It's so well balanced, and when you go to grind, it doesn't. It's almost like it doesn't want to buck, like I know it would if you caught it. But you know, sometimes when you use other grinders, they want to bounce around and whatever. But this doesn't. It feels really smooth in your hand, and when you go to grind something, like just knocking these pieces off. But sometimes, you know, you get in there and I just want to keep bucking around because it's like almost like it's unbalanced. But this is, oh, it's like using a piece of silk. You know what I mean? It just feels smooth when it's running. It's not even noisy when it runs. Oh, it's noisy, but it's not that noisy. You know? But it just feels so well balanced. It's mad. I must have been using shit grinders for a long time. But yeah, it's fucking buttery smooth. And I'm not saying that because fucking the key gave me one. I had to pay $179 fucking dollars for the kind of thing. But yeah, it's just, this runs really smooth. Alright, we'll carry on, we'll do some pedal beating. I'll give this a dolly up now that I've got rid of all the bits I don't want. Righty, so I'm getting these studs out. I just got it sitting here, blowtorch sitting on the bench, pointing at the one of those studs. I got one out. I'm just trying to get another one out. I've been heating the back one. I'm going to go heat it back again. I'll just see if I can get that middle one out, just so it's not so much awkward to try and fit this thing in and out if I can. So you can see what I'm doing. I just got the blowtorch just sitting on the bench, just getting nice and hot. It's probably got enough. I'll take that back up there now and give that another wee cook for a minute. just easy than standing and holding it. I can just stand here and watch it. I'll go around the other side and I'll just see if I can get it to come loose. It's been barbecuing for a while. There was one in here too which I got out, which is now on the ground. It's going to come, I think. Yeah, just turn it. It's cool. Give it a little soaky while it's cooling down. It's kind of weird. So we'll let it keep doing its thing and we'll come back to you when we've got them all out. At least then I can hopefully slip it in there and out. You see me cut. I'll actually get the actual front piece off because it's kind of in the way too. Tries to get this panel in there, and I've got to rebuild that corner anyway. So that little piece. So it's just as easy to remove it and it not be in the road, and then I can make a little patch up later on. And I've actually got to try and get in and where that hole goes through, which is the hinge pin support piece. I've got to try and flatten that out a little bit better too because it's been pushed in there. I was hammering a bit on it yesterday with that big old frickin' big heavy thing, which was in the last video. I was hammering on it a bit with that too. I probably got it flattened out a bit, but it probably needs a bit more. I might actually sit that on there for a wee bit and get a bit of heat into it and then hammer it because it's so heavy steel. Well, it's not like just panel beating a bit of 18 gauge or whatever, it's like 14 or whatever it is. It might even be heavier than that. Being that piece, I'm not sure. It could be even the thicker stuff, the 3mm, whatever that is. So it's fairly solid. So it takes a bit of shifting to get just flatten it off again. So because it was all, that door was all pushed in. I may even have to, when I obviously get the body back up the right way and bolted back to the chassis, we may have to go into those spots again and just push them out a little more to get those doors sitting nice. Alright, that should be barbecued enough, hopefully. We'll see if that comes loose now. Right, so I got those out. And after rust there. So I had to clamp this one on because I started freaking tearing it out of place from where it was barely holding on. Even though we are going to replace that piece eventually. I just want to keep it in place so I know where it was. So I had to start clamping it on there. But anyway, because if I put it in the wrong place, well then well, it won't be too bad. The slots on the back fenders, got a little bit of wiggle room. So if it's not 100% in the exact right place, it won't be super critical. But we can obviously flip that upside down and sit it in there and see whether things are still in the right place before we do finalise everything. But now we've got them out, tuck that up underneath and see if get it into the right position and work out. I'm probably going to do, I'm trying to work out which piece I'm going to do first. I think I might try and do this piece and build this bit back in where it's missing. and then we'll do this piece. I think that's what we'll do. tripod. Damn side easier to hold shit. Awesome tripod. Thanks, Mr. Solar Garage. Right. I love this thing. Just sometimes it's a little big. You realise how much more space you need to wick it round, but, or wisp it round, but she's all good. Right. Now we should be able to get this in here a bit easier. Bits to worry about. Guys, right. Now we're a bit more in the right little place. I'm assuming. Let's make a tape template for, I'm guessing, might try and do all that in one hit. Do this back piece from here up into here separately, but we'll do majority of this, I think. Or do we do it in 3 bits? Oh! At least for a corner, we're in the right place now. Righty, so I think I'm kind of close to cutting away what's underneath. So obviously we can do a bit more moulding, I guess you'd call it. Really fortunate that this is really strong. The way they built this piece, like it's heavy steel. What I'm doing, beating on it's not doing it any harm. So, but I think what we'll do is I'll run a black line around here, roughly where this sits, and then I'll cut up half an inch up away from that line, because obviously I want to try and keep these bolts in here. I might even keep it back a little bit further than that. Some of it anyway. We've got to watch out for that rust in there, but yeah, we'll keep that. I was hoping that was going to kick around more that way. It might manipulate that way when I start bending this. I don't know. It's just I was hoping to have a bit more down here, but if I have to tack a little piece on that edge or something later on, probably nobody will ever know anyway. If it's not there, if there's not a freaking extra, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch down that piece. I'll try and get it to pull that way. I thought it might have stretched that way, but it's kind of pulled back. Probably if I actually bent it down and put a screw in here, that might hold. I might be able to get it manipulate back maybe. I might try that actually. I might try and wedge something in here and push it back and get one of these Tech screws that I've been using and screw it in there, and then maybe heat it and mould that in a little bit before I cut it off. But yeah, anyway, I'll carry on. I'm just having a break for 5 minutes because I'm rooted. It's almost lunchtime too, so here the missus just pulled up, so yeah, we'll catch you after lunch. Right. Turn some lights on, I'll figure out what we're doing next. I think we were going to mark that, what we're going to trim off the underlying stuff. Roughly. I think that was the plan. Yeah, I think we got it. I think that'll fit. I think what I might do is tack weld this to that, and then we can cut and butt it and join it where it needs to be. What do you reckon, fellas? Fellas? Yep. I think that's what we'll do. And all these will just turn into plug welds. Some of us will try and, we might join it through where I put some of these screws. That might be a place where we try and cut through, so not blowing up those holes, if you know what I mean, but they'll also get plug welded back into the body. Yeah. Excellent. And then we can do a little bit of finishing work. Not too bad. Once we get it together, we can just try and smooth it out a little bit. But yeah! Right, let's glue it together. Righty, so I've just been hammering this into shape just because it was, when I hammered this over top and when we cut it away, like there's quite a distance in there, like up and down, so you had to obviously form this into it a bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few more tacks in here make some of these tacks a bit more solid, grind everything off front and back, go around and hammer and dolly it all fairly smooth on that seam, and then we'll come along and we'll weld it all properly, and then we'll test fit it again, and then we will start building this corner. Yeah. Worst thing is, I wish that stretcher was here so we could get that other piece fitting, so I know exactly what to do here with the underside of this. I think what we'll do is we'll get it roughed in using obviously the original piece, just sitting it in there. That'll give me an idea. Let me get the angle on out of the guide door here. Like that. That'll give me a rough idea what I need to do. But yeah, I kind of need to make. I suppose if I can get that one close to fitting this one, then we can make that one there fit the other bit. As long as we're close and we've got a decent flow in here. I want decent flow, so then all of a sudden it hasn't got a stupid hump in it. Not alter anything. That's kind of why I wanted to do that first, make sure it sat around there nice. But yeah, we can kind of get it roughly shaped in, I suppose. And then if we have to trim it back or alter it a little bit, I guess that's what happens. But yeah, we'll bring these tacks in a bit better, double them up a little bit in some places, and we'll grind it off, clean her up, both sides, a bit more hammer and dollying. We'll, get a couple of, I'll use probably that dolly I was using, but on the flat side, and one of those big wide headed hammers, flat hammers. We'll get that all smoothed out so it fits nice together. This is a wee bit bumpy yet. Get it all dialed in, and then we'll weld it up properly, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it took some shaping to get that. I had to put those screws in, otherwise it just wasn't going to do what I wanted. I'll do a bit of hammer and dolling here too, because this is a bit ugly, but by the time we put some undercoat underneath here, that probably won't, you won't notice most of it. But we'll plan our shit up a little bit better. Try and see if we can get rid of some of these beating marks out of it. But sometimes that's what it takes to get into shape, and then you can dress it and dial it up a little bit later on. But all good, we'll carry on. Righty, so I've got it back in there. I've got a little bit, I've got a few pinholes and whatever to weld up. I just wanted to make sure it still fitted okay. All that sort of stuff. I'm pretty happy with how everything's fitting. After I ground it back, I just went over it again with a dolly, hammered a dolly, just to give it, just make sure it flattened, no, it hadn't pulled. I'm not too worried about it like buckling or anything too much in here. Otherwise I would, move around a bit more. I sort of like doing little lengths of stitch. But yeah, like I know it's in a wheel arch and I've got it off and it's easy to panel beat, so I just went over it and just hammered it and dollied it, just in case it had bowed or buckled a little bit. Easy enough to do when it's like this. If it's on some other modern car and it's pulling in and doing some queer things, like it's a bit harder to fix if you can't get in behind it. But this is easy because I've got it off. But it's hitting pretty good. I'm just thinking I might put an extra little bit of material on here and cut this off here. It's a bit long, but you can see the line where it should be. I might just add a little bit of material from here, just because it kind of annoys me. I was going to leave it, but then I thought, no, it just looks weird if I put this piece back on here and fix it or make a new piece for here. It just might look weird if I don't line it up properly, so we'll do that. So yeah, but this has basically taken me all day to fix this thing. Like it's, what is it now, 3:30ish, I think, roughly. I'll just kind of quickly have a look. No, I probably can't hold it. Yeah, it's 3:30, or just after. It's almost 20 to 4. So, we tacked that together yesterday. So I welded it up, ground it up, cleaned it up, made this piece, and welded it on. And obviously done a wee bit of bracing. And can't remember, did I start making that? No, I started making it yesterday, didn't I? So yeah, like it's taken me all day to do that. Like people wonder why it costs so much. Obviously, the more you do this, the easier it gets, because you work out faster ways to do things and you get a few more tools. That helps too. But it takes time. It really does take time. But yeah, so we're almost done. Waffling on here occasionally doesn't help, but most of the time that's why I just leave the phone running and I talk as I'm working. But sometimes you just got to sit down and take a break for 5 minutes, so it's a good opportunity to waffle. But yeah, so that's cool. I'm pretty happy with that. It's coming along pretty good. So I think I'll pull it off again now. Just weld up those few extra holes and whatever. And I'll fill that one where I must have had it joined together with one of those screws. I'll fill that hole. Oops, shouldn't fart like that. I might shit myself. So yeah, I'll fill that one, that hole, because it doesn't go into anything. The rest of these I can plug weld, and I will drill a few holes in here so I can freaking spot weld that on, because they'd never done it. The bolts were holding it together. Or there might have been a couple of little freaking tacks, but it was basically fell off. So when we weld it back on, it'll be welded on. And obviously we've got this piece to go on over here when we make that. So yeah, I'm just trying to think whether I should start putting it on or whether I should make that corner before I start gluing it on. Because once it's on there, it's on there. Doesn't really matter too much after that. But yeah, I'm just trying to think whether I should weld that on there or whether I should just leave it loose until hopefully we get these other bits made. Just trying to decide what I'm going to do here. The thing is, I can actually leave it screwed like that. I could leave it screwed until that strinker stretcher turns up. I might do that. Just leave it screwed on there with a few bolts and it holds it nice and rigid. I could bang a couple more Tech screws in around here. And then when we go to weld it on, I can open up the holes on the outer surface. You know, open them up a little bit so I can get a bit more of a decent burn in. So not just drilling or welding up in a little hole, I can weld a half decent size hole. Like, so I open them up to this sort of size just on the outer skin and on here, but leave a slightly smaller hole on the inside and then burn it in. Get a good spot weld, plug weld, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, well, that might work. That'll work. Yeah, because then we can, if I don't get this other shrinker stretcher, if it doesn't happen to turn up until, I don't know, sometime early next week, I'm not too worried about getting this in. It's made. It's, you know, trim that off, build the corner, build the outer and that inner piece, weld it on, put it in, and you know, and obviously make that little piece, whatever that bit is. Would I throw that earlier? Get that bit, make that bit. So yeah, I'm actually contemplating. It's a bit frickin'. I might have to just cut a piece out of here and just have a look underneath here. Just looking at this, I didn't realise there was a couple pinholes in there. There's a bit of rust backing. So I might actually slice this piece off before I go too much further too. So have a wee looky underneath there. Fuck, it doesn't matter where you look, eh? It's a fucking pain in the ass. The rust gets in there and it fucking pulls the shit apart. And you just don't know what's hiding in beneath it. I'd rather spend a few minutes fixing it than leave it up and it breaks out there or whatever later on or rots out there. It probably won't, but you know what I mean. I'd rather get in there and have a quick look and weld it back on if I ain't clever to clean up and blow a bit of shit in there, bit of paint in there and weld it on. So yeah, we might do that. Might just leave that screwed on there. Yep. All the crap underneath here. And built up. You can see it was all jacked up by all the crust. Look how thick it was in there. See if I can get the rest of this off because it's even quite thin. Like it just beat up really easy. I'll try to grind the other bits off. See if it'll pop off. That's fine. Nice. Oh, that's it. Fucking oath. The rest feels really solid. Fuck, do I cut this one off now? Always find more, eh? You know what? Bang a raw wheel on a grinder and we'll give that a hit and clean up and see what it's like. Yep, it's just the gift that keeps on giving. I'll clean it up. Fortunately, that skin actually, this piece here actually stops there. It's like another piece comes up from behind, and it's not actually joint there, so it's just, I should better just put a wee patch in here, weld that in, and then obviously put a new bit over top. Bloody thing. Yeah, God, it just keeps hiding. I bet if I did the same along here, It's not, doesn't feel too bad. I don't feel any major rust anywhere. I'll give it a bit of a hit. I might give it a blowout, blow some rust in there, and actually I might CRC make a rust converter stuff that goes like a primer. We might get some of that and squirt in these gaps for anything else that might be stuck in here in between. So I think what I'll do is I'll go along here with a hammer, wherever my engineer's hammer is, not down here, and a small one. Just give this a good beating, try and break any rust free, and then blow it out. Hopefully I can blow whatever out is in there out, if there is anything else in here and along here, and then pour some rust converter crap in between and try and get it down in some of these places too, because I don't really want to fucking cut every little piece apart to keep finding rust. You know, I may as well just done what I'm going to do with that, so I just make it all new. I was kind of borderline that point. Now, like I could have, you know, for the patches that I've put in it, you know, I might as well made the whole fucking thing. But yeah, should be right. I think another patch in here would be okay. It's still going to be plenty strong enough, you know. I'll burn it in nice and hot and grind it all back and whatever. And most people won't know, but yeah, I don't like putting too many patches in. Stuff like this, I'd rather build a whole new piece, but that I'm going to have to. But yeah, so I'm not far away. I've put a little piece of metal actually underneath here, and I've just tacked it on a couple of spots. When I pull this off later, I'll trim this off through here and weld this piece onto it. I've just tucked it underneath in the meantime. I'll just run a cutting wheel down there and clean it up and join it up properly and dolly it up and whatever. But yeah, and then we'll build this corner properly when that shrinker stretcher arrives. But that's my ride, so I'm about out of here, so we'll catch you later on. Cheers. Hey guys, if you need welding gas, go see the boys at Cool Gas. If you're in New Zealand, yep, go see these guys. They'll look after you. Cool Gas, New Zealand.